Welcome back to Inside City Hall. An independent city agency called the Commission on Racial Equity is suing the Adams administration for its failure to release a plan addressing racial disparities in the city. Now, back in 2022, voters overwhelmingly backed a charter revision proposal that mandated that the city release reports every 2 years. But now, more than 500 days later, no report has materialized. As part of the lawsuit, the agency is calling for the court to order the release of the plan and declare the delay to be illegal. The Adams administration says that this lawsuit is, quote, misguided. Joining me now to talk about this is a special panel. Linda Tagani is the current chair and executive director of the city's Commission on Racial Equity. Jennifer Jones-Austin is here. She is the CEO of the Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies organization, but she was one of the organizers that helped create this commission. Thank you both for being here. And take us back through this, Jennifer. This was created, I guess, officially and legally during the first year of the Adams administration, but its origins really predate this administration,
yes,
right?
So thank you for bringing us to the table this evening. In 2021, in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, when the nation was struggling with what to do, grappling with the issue of persisting racial inequity, then Mayor Bill de Blasio established the Racial Justice Commission, appointed 11 commissioners. I was appointed the chair, and we were charged with going into the New York City Charter, that's the Constitution, to look at how we could embed racial justice and equity in core government functioning. What resulted? 3 ballot measures, one of them to establish a mandate that every 2 years the City of New York release racial equity plans, and that there would be a complementing Commission on Racial Equity that would hold the city accountable for releasing those plans and making sure that they adhered to the will of the people of the City of New York.
Mm-hmm. And so now that hasn't happened, but the committee consists, correct me if I'm wrong, 15 members, 7 are appointed by the mayor. So it's essentially his commission. 5 are appointed by the Speaker of the City Council. We just heard from her. 1 by the Public Advocate and 1 by the Controller. So this, in effect, is something that the mayor has had some input into, but I understand there were delays in making the appointments and now delays in providing some of the basic information that the commission needs in order to function.
That's correct. So the mayor has delayed this process from day one. I myself was appointed after the first legal deadline. So I was appointed after October 1st of 2023, which was the first deadline to release community equity priorities, which are essentially a list of actions that the public wants government to take in order to improve their well-being. Mm-hmm. And the charter specifically states that communities that we would identify as marginalized or vulnerable, and what we call at the commission, communities harmed by racism and social injustice. What is it that they need in order to be able to thrive? And the Racial Justice Commission really provided a framework by creating a preamble that was passed by the people on what does thriving mean. And so when the ballot measures were passed, the ballot measure said, do you want a true cost of living measure to be released? And that also is supposed to be released on an annual basis. And the mayor is over 400 days late on releasing that, and there is no current release date. That report is still in progress. And the mayor has delayed hiring me, appointing commissioners, and allowing the commission to start the work. And all of that is laid out in our lawsuit, including that we released a demand letter that was released by our attorneys, Andy Celli. There was no response to that, and so we had no other choice but to sue the administration to ensure that this report is released.
I feel like I might be missing something here because we covered the election in 2021. I don't remember the mayor or any other candidate saying, we don't like this idea of this commission. We're not going to cooperate. We think it's a waste of money or whatever it might. I don't understand what the source of the problem is, and I guess that's why you sued. You're trying to get to the source of the problem.
You don't remember because it didn't happen. That didn't happen, and it didn't happen that the mayor actually spoke in favor of the commission and of the mandates that were passed. We've never had the mayor speak on behalf of the commission in support of these plans that were these measures passed overwhelmingly by New Yorkers. So it has been an uphill battle from the very beginning. And now we find ourselves in a situation where racial equity the pursuit of racial equity that we've seen over the course of the last several decades, it's being obliterated. At the federal level, some states are doing it, and when New York City has the law on its side, when New Yorkers said, we want racial equity in our government functioning, we have a mayor and administration that is essentially standing in the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I looked up some of what you all went and found when the commission went out and held hearings and tried to get from the community what is. This is not groundbreaking stuff for New York. Fund communities harmed by racism and injustice to shape and get updates on New York City government plans. Remove the gaps in race, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, and disability in city pay, promotions, and contracts. I mean, that's the law anyway.
Yes.
These are not things that most New Yorkers, I think, would find objectionable or even extraordinary.
Not in the least bit.
I would go so far as to say that while we have over 4,000 New Yorkers specifically that responded to the Commission on Racial Equity, including the thousands of New Yorkers that Jennifer Jones Austin and the Racial Justice Commission reached out to, their voices are completely being disregarded, right? So although the mayor may not come out directly and say, I don't support racial equity or I don't support equity, he is obviously bending towards the federal government in this moment and pulling back on DEI, on racial equity work, stalling wherever possible, and also has degraded decades of police accountability work. You know, as we announced our lawsuit yesterday, we also heard from the police commissioner that she's keeping Lieutenant Jonathan Rivera, who was found by her own deputy to be guilty in the killing of Alan Felix. There's a news article that came out today that said now school safety officers are coming out of a community-based unit and are moving to the chief of department. We're seeing inroads that this administration has taken to create new paths for injustice rather than listening to the will of the people when they say, we want more investments in our schools and to end segregation, and instead we have more officers in our schools, and we have a specialized high school that only took in 8 black kids for this year.
I mean, this again, it's too easy to sort of pin this on whatever relationship this administration now has with the White House, because this predates the Trump administration.
Indeed,
right?
indeed. When the mayor says in response to the lawsuit that they're vetting it again and again and again because they do not want to risk any funding from the federal government, you know, if the federal government were to not agree with the racial equity plans, that is gaslighting. Let's just call it what it is. It's gaslighting because these plans are more than 500 days overdue. The true cost of living is more than 400 days overdue. The President of the United States has not been in the White House yet for better than 300 days.
Right.
So this is gaslighting. For whatever reason, this mayor and this administration have determined that it is not in the interest of this administration to release these plans and to actually bring about a true cost of living.
Well, I mean, is it, you've worked in government for a long, long time. Is this them maybe not wanting to find problems that the public will then expect them to fix?
I think it can be, especially when we talk about the true cost of living, if we just jump in there for a moment. The true cost of living measures to be centered in economic security. When we see that across New York City, not just people with low income, but people who are middle, sometimes even upper middle income are saying, we're struggling to make ends meet, that true cost of living measure will look at what are the challenges and what has this mayor done about them. So I think that that's one of the reasons why that is being upheld. And then I think with the racial equity, this is a mayor who campaigned on this, but what does the record show about what he's done about it? So maybe he wants to push back for that reason.
Yeah. Is that going to hurt him with black voters, do you think?
This is what I believe. I believe that the more informed black voters will see this as an issue. Now, those who are just, you know, look, and I say this as a black woman, those who just vote based on racial identity may not see this as an issue. Those who are concerned about the issues and about leadership that actually works in the best interest of those who've been made vulnerable will see it as an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think it's got to be disappointing and maybe frustrating for you and your staff, right? I mean, you've sort of made a career move in the direction of trying to address these issues, and it's hard to get it done if you're not getting some level of cooperation from the other side of City Hall.
Absolutely. We have been working with City Hall for over 20 months, and we have given them grace, and we have established new deadlines, and we're at the point where they're not willing to give us even a tentative release date. which is why we brought the lawsuit. I do want to note that the public is very clear on what government is doing that is racist and unjust. And so when the Adams administration sees this as a possibility to not identify problems, it's really them ignoring the problems that the public is acknowledging and bringing to their attention. It's a complete disregard not only for their voice, but for them as New Yorkers. And at a time when we are increasing separation of families, because we are allowing ICE to come in, we are increasing incarceration, we are increasing policing, and we are disinvesting from social services. It not only sort of upsets and is a struggle for us at the commission, both our staff as well as our commissioners, who were appointed to do a specific job and who would ask me time and time again, when is the plan coming out so we can do our core function, which is respond to the plan with the people's voice.
I think in short, we could simply say that the failure to release the plan is not about the people, it's about politics.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for coming by. Best of luck with all of this. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.